those who don't know, I'm Will Antilles or Zero Requiem or Red One. Any one of those will do. Those are some of my monikers that go by. And today we're here with a interview with, okay, everybody. Oh, there. You see it, I see it. There. And because I murder names, I will let you introduce yourself.
My name is Sekaya Harris,
Hi.
the author of Nafera, Dynasty of the Six Shadows, Volume 1.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to the Black Cosplayer Society. Thank you for doing this, albeit that we had some technical difficulties because Facebook doesn't make it easy to do things from a desktop. So, um, like we said, look, getting started. This is my first time interviewing anyone. So we'll start with something simple. What made you start writing a graphic novel? A lot of times people write books, poems, but why a graphic novel?
I feel like for me, I come from a visual arts background. I majored in photography in school, and I've worked in the film industry since I've graduated. So for me, the natural step was to create a graphic novel because I love storytelling, I love writing. And I almost feel like it's kind of selfish in a way because with books, it's like you're reading and you're imagining. But with the graphic novel, it's like, no, this is what it looks like. This is what I want you to see. This is the image of it. And that's something I, for some reason, really held on to for this first series that I've been writing.
Okay, excellent. I can understand that you want someone to see your characters to so they have no you know question about you know who their character is by at least visually. So that being said, that leads me to my next question. What is your creative process? Now, you just didn't wake up one day, you know what, I'm just going to write this great novel or a graphic novel. What brought you to that stage, and how did you begin the process?
Honestly, I had a dream about it. And I had a dream about the story. Actually, all of my stories come from dreams. It may not be the exact story, but the concept does. And so one day I just woke up about it and I was like, oh my God, this would be a great story. But it's something that I wanted to see in a cartoon vibe, but I didn't have the resources to animate. I don't draw. So it's like, okay, I love writing. So it's like, maybe I should do a graphic novel. And so that's really how that process came. It's like an epiphany moment. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then 2 years later, it was finished.
Okay, nice, nice. I get that. A lot of times we do dream, and sometimes our dreams do become reality. So it's one time that this has become a reality. So congratulations to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
so in your creative process, you came up with this concept, this idea. Um, but who is Neferia? Nefaria? I'm sorry.
Nafera.
Nafera, sorry. So who is she? And if you can expand on the question a little bit, the way to answer, who is she to you also?
Okay, that's a good question. Honestly, well, in the book, she's a grad student who kind of stumbles into this world. I don't want to say of a secret world. It's just kind of an undocumented world.
Right.
And then she kind of acquires these powers through that journey and realizes her place in this world. And for me, I guess I feel like I saw myself as Nefera. At the time I had locks, so I kind of drew her with locks, and I just always love this idea of maybe I could just stumble into some superpowers one day, or maybe be able to access parts of my mind that can give me powers. I don't know, but I kind of wrote it with me in mind, I guess.
Okay. Fair
It's
enough.
so funny too because the villain kind of reminds me of my sister. A lot of people say that it looks like my sister and I on the cover, and they're like, "Did you do that on purpose?" It's like, I guess I kind of had people in mind, but just generally.
Okay. I get that. Honestly, when you write, you do write about people you know, and then it morphs into something different. Um, so a lot of people will look at the cover of your book here, and they will notice that the characters are not the standard characters that you will see in majority of comics on the shelves. Can you tell me why is this reflected in your work?
Sure. I feel like Black people in general are just not represented at all in the graphic novel space. I won't say at all, but not very much. And so I wanted to write a story featuring Black people, but also bringing Blackness to something that isn't seen in Black form, like Egyptian philosophy. A lot of times I think that that's something that is whitewashed, and I felt like it was important for me to have Black people connected to this culture, and these abilities.
Speaking of culture,
Mm-hmm.
of all the Black cultures throughout history, you chose Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that being said, Egyptian being the most well known, if I could say, of the Black culture.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find it was hard, or did you find that you had obstacles trying to go that creative route, fitting that into that, the what people
Mm-hmm.
would think Egyptians should be?
Mm, I did. A lot of different things came up with that because it's like, okay, I have to make sure that I am accurate, but it's also fictional. It's a fictional idea focused around a real belief in mythology, So I wanted to make sure that I still incorporated these beliefs, but I still found a way to make it more abstract and fictional because I didn't want to. And I feel like when you go for specific cultures, people are really like, "That's not right. That didn't happen. That didn't happen." Or and it's like
Right.
for me, I wanted to keep it a little bit more fluid and fictional as well as mixed in with some historical accuracy.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going over here my questions because I'm on the screen
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no problem.
Okay. One of the things and because I'm gonna stick with this Egyptians thing because it's something I'm a sort of fan a little bit, because when people say what God you worship, I always say I worship the old gods, God of
Mm-hmm.
Ra. Um,
Mm-hmm.
now, now I know you're creating your own Egyptian fiction here, but
Uh-huh.
will we see any of those Egyptian gods that we know, Ra and and Hathor or any of those characters? Would they grace the cover? I mean, not the cover, but grace your pages
Uh-huh.
one day?
I think so. I did briefly touch the origin in the story because the story takes place modern day. So in the origin, I kind of focused a little bit on the process of how they got these abilities from the gods, but I didn't pinpoint any specific gods. But throughout the series, I think I do want to get more specific because the characters, even their names are comprised of different gods that they take their abilities from. So I want to kind of focus on that more a little farther on.
Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. All right. That was just something for myself here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to keep you too long, so we're going to be coming
Okay.
to the end of the interview a little bit, but I still got a couple of things
Okay.
to ask you. So there's a lot of people, especially now in this environment, new environment that we find ourselves home with our thoughts a lot. So a lot of times people just say, open up a laptop or crack open a notebook and say, I'm going to write the world's greatest novel, right?
Ooh, sorry.
What
Uh-huh.
would you say to someone who never tried it? Just like, I'm going to
Mm,
do it. I have a great story. There's nobody ever told this story before, which is laughable
mm.
because all stories have been told. But what would you say to somebody who want to get started into and get their creative juices going?
For me, I would say there's nothing to it but to do it. Like for me, when I'm writing, the best way that I can start is just by writing. Like when I'm writing stories, maybe I might start like I have an idea and I have a scene in mind, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just write this scene and kind of build the story around the scene. But once you start writing, the words will come, it'll be able to flow, and then it's not going to be good at first. You're not going to write the world's best novel your first time around, So just being sure to commit to that and being able to take in criticism, constructive criticism, and apply that, and just keep going, just keep writing, just keep doing it.
Right.
Nothing to
Um,
it but to do it.
cool. I'm going to keep it. nice and loose here.
Okay, okay.
So my society needs to know the answer to this very important question. Number one, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh my gosh, I was dreading this question because I'm not really a fan of either. I won't say that I'm not a fan, but I'm not a super fan, But I will
Nothing wrong with
say
that.
I can appreciate Star Wars more because I think it's a little more intricate in the plot and the storyline and how all the characters are connected. And I think it was a little more, a lot more, in my opinion, imaginative around like creatures and planets and Star Trek. My family really watched it. I think I'm a little young. I feel like I missed that wave of like that Trekkie wave, So
Right,
I never
right.
really got into it.
Cool, cool. All right, I got a couple of more of these either or. Uh,
Okay.
I was gonna really let you off easy on this next one. I was gonna put Blade or Twilight, and I was hoping
Nah.
you would get an easy slam dunk with Blade. But since I had a sense that you would pick Blade, so I went with Blade or Underworld.
That is a hard one because I love the
Them Death Devils
dichotomy of
are
the
the real deal.
werewolves and I know, but
Yeah.
still I think Blade takes it. Blade was too cool. Like I remember being a kid, like that scene where he like kicks it into his forehead and he's just like,
Right.
I was just
Right.
like, that's the man.
All right. All right. Okay. So we got a couple of questions here, but real quick,
Okay.
uh, DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
All right.
100%.
All right. I know I got on a Kal-El shirt, but that's because Superman is the ideal that we all should strive to achieve. The ideal.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's go ahead and we got a couple of questions,
Okay.
and I don't know if you can see these on the screen or not.
No, I can't.
Okay, Michael says, "Will there be a black Batman?" I don't know if we have the resources to actually say yes or no, but I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, it'll be a 100% solid no. It would never be an ever
Really?
black. It doesn't make it sense to make Batman black. I wouldn't want to see a black Batman. And let me tell you something about Batman. We got too many goddamn bats already. It's just like Superman. We got too many soups already. We got too many soups and bats. Let's have some new stuff, like stuff like this. And we
You're
don't have to
right.
worry about if it's a black Batman. Now, if you want to ask, can you create a superhero similar to Batman who's black? Sure. You can write it up. But why? That's been done 1,000 times. But
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate the question. But he also has another question. Would you? What the heck? Okay, my eyes. He asks, would you do some story? Same person, Michael, asks, would you do some story from a biblical perspective? It's a very interesting question, especially since you are doing it from an Egyptian perspective. Did that thought ever cross your mind, or?
It didn't. I'm not a very religious person, so that's not something I really factor into my writing. In my writing, I prefer a little more on the metaphysical side and paranormal and kind of just mysticism side that I think doesn't really fit into that world,
Right.
aside from being an adversary sometimes.
Funny you should ask, Michael. Let me look in my archives, because when I was talking to Nathan, the other author that I was going to get to interview, he was asking me, did I have any stories I did? Because I know the guy, and I've written with him before on some other projects. The funny thing is, I did run across a Jesus story. It was called Jesus and the Renegade. Oh, yeah. It was a story that I was developing with a friend of mine. He's really religious. You wouldn't even think he is, but he is religious. He came to me. He said, "I have this idea about a comic or a book, and I want to base it on Jesus being a badass." And I'm like, "Okay, what do you think?" He's like, "Yeah." So I wrote this synopsis called "Jesus in the Renegade Club." It was like, what I did was, I know I'm going off track real quick. What I did was, I took Michael Jordan's "I Quit." I wrote this in 2014. I took Michael Jordan's "I Quit," and I said, what if Jesus quit? And so it was front page, like, Jesus, I quit. And then he was being a badass in a club. So Yes,
That's
I
cool.
have. But what I found was because, like you yourself, I'm not really religious. I grew up in a religious household. I went to
Mm.
everything: BBC, CCD, EFG. If you was in my mama house, you was going to church. So I read the Bible plenty of times. But what I found in a creative process doing this biblical thing was doing it with somebody super biblical.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like how I wrote Jesus, and so it's very hard to do something like that
Yeah.
because you step on a lot of people's toes,
A lot, a lot.
a lot of
People would
toes.
get you shut down.
Yeah, so I try to stay away from Jesus in the Renegade Club, even though I wrote it. Not many pages on that, and only a few people have read it. So yeah, I like to stay alive. But real quick, to end this up real quick, I really thank you and I appreciate you coming on and giving your time. And there's nothing more precious than time. Time. We all have a
Mm.
limited number of time. That sand is running out that hour clock because you can see the top of my head is all. But real quick, what inspires you when it comes to writing? And then we'll end it like that. And then people can, if you have more questions and you watch this video, please reach out and ask them, and I'll try to get the answers for you guys, or you can reach out directly. Maybe I don't know, but anyway, go ahead.
um, what really inspires me, I guess, is um, just representing people that are not represented, you know, but from their perspective. Like one thing I always say is like my author mentor is
Mhm.
Toni Morrison because I loved how she wrote Black people, and when they spoke in their own dialect, and it was Black, and it was in that time period, you know, and I that's something that inspires me because I want to tell stories and about obscure parts of even the Black diaspora, you know,
Right.
because I want to represent that. Mhm.
Wow, powerful stuff, and we need more creative types like yourself, and hopefully your book can get out there. And I know in August part 2 is coming, so
It's
can't wait to
coming.
see that and everything like that. And pretty exciting time. And hopefully, maybe one day we'll see you at a booth at a con, and we can stop by and be like, "Hey, I remember you." So good luck
Yes.
to you and good luck to everybody. So everybody stay safe, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.